Hey guys, Dr. Spin here. It's time for another album suggestion from the archives. This is an album that I discovered in 2017, although it's a 2016 album. That's Astronoid's Air. Astronoid's Air was my number 2 album of 2017. It was only surpassed by the album that was playing when my son was born. So if that tells you what kind of competition it was up against that year, that's how close it was. And I've discovered it. There's a guy in my feed that kind of for a long time was showing what he was listening to by just taking a picture of an album. You know, he didn't really talk a whole lot about the music, just like, you know, here's what I'm listening to. And I always found his taste in music very interesting, so I always kind of paid attention when these posts came up. And Astronoid came up, and of course, if you look at the album art, usually I talk about how album art attracts me. And this particular one, I wasn't really, blown away by the art. It's kind of just meh in a way, but his description of the album, and it's one that I've seen since, that they describe themselves as Dream-Thrash music, and that kind of caught my attention. It was like wondering what that was supposed to describe in their music. So I did a little bit of searching around on the album and immediately was kind of caught by it. It melded two kinds of music that I kind of have had for a while listening. Of course, you've heard me talk about Mew a lot, and Mew was one of my very first posts in the blog whenever I was doing it just text. So they're a big, they loom large in what my ears listen for these days. And I think definitely Astronoid has that sound, that Mew sound, that really angelic vocals that those guys have. But on the other side of it, they're out from the waist down. They're a very sort of almost like an extreme metal group, like along the lines of like contemporary metal, like Death Heaven and that sort of thing. When you put those things together, the sort of extreme metal from the Roots and then the sort of like cosmic vocals, it's like taking a jetpack and strapping it to your back and rocketing across the universe every time you listen to the album. Kind of like, in my mind, sort of like this. So Astronoid was founded by 2 guys, Brett Boland, who's a singer and guitar player, and Daniel Schwartz, who's the bass player. And my understanding of what happened is those guys actually met each other in audio engineering school and devised a sort of Astronoid idea from there. It wasn't sort of an accidental thing, and this is what I think is so fascinating about it. It was a very intentional approach to crafting the sound that Astronoid was going for. If I talk about them trying to play things like, referring to Mew in their music, and in interviews I've read, they've definitely cited them as a specific influence as something that they were going for. The whole album really stands up under this kind of scrutiny. That last song, Up and At 'em.
Up and at them.
Up and At 'em.
Up and at them.
Up and At 'em.
Up and at them.
Whatever. That song that just played a second ago is one kind of the lead single from the album. It was one of the first ones that they put out. There's also a second single they put out, video, like a lyrics video for a song called Air. It's great. Most of the songs are very consistent. It's really amazing that they're able to have such consistency across the album and really not make it too repetitive. It seems fresh the whole time. There is one song that kind of breaks the mold a little bit. It's a sort of a little more ambient song, which is ironically called Violence. It's like the least violent song on the album. It's an exciting, electrifying experience listening to the album all the way through. And if you like your metal, intense, you're not going to be disappointed if you're listening to Astronoid. What they do to get their intensity, though, is not like, the kind of classic the screaming vocals or the Cookie Monster vocals, which I really don't have a problem with, but they're able to get that intensity through a much more kind of positive, triumphant sense to their music. And it really, it sells the whole thing. The whole thing gives you that feeling of like, it's almost, I hate to say uplifting. It's not really uplifting, but definitely like is inspiring, it's get up and go music. And that's kind of what I used to like about Rush so much, is they had a lot of intensity, but it wasn't always it was always tasteful the way that they would do it. And that's certainly a connection with Rush, although Astronoid doesn't really sound like Rush. They certainly have that same sense of like, precise intensity that I find really appealing. And you can't overlook the importance of Bolan's vocals. The vocal approach that he has in the album throughout is beautiful. It's beautiful throughout whatever he's doing there. There's always these great harmonies that he's using that juxtapose one another, that play off one another, and the vocals are passionate and delivered with no small amount of finesse and intensity. So there's no small amount of craft that's gone into the group's concept, into their performances, into their arrangements. Everything that they've done for Astronoid I don't think there's very many happy accidents on the album. I think it's a very well thought out idea that has been executed extremely well. So I would highly suggest Astronoid Air, certainly for that reason. Everything on the album is in just the right balance with one another, that it sells extremely well. And for that reason, I'm a little nervous about their most recent release, their sophomore release, Astronoid. And it's one of the reasons why I'm making this post now. This may be the last time I'm able to really listen to Air without looking at it in hindsight from another album, you see. And because everything was crafted so well on this album, I'm really apprehensive about what's going to be happening on their second album, because they could either do the exact same thing, which turns them into a one-trick pony. It could be a good trick, but it could be just the one trick. I don't know. They could somehow improve on it, which would be great. I'd love to see that happen. Or they could try something and it doesn't work, which would make the one time they got it right on Air be it. I certainly don't hope that's the case, but I'm nervous about it because I really enjoyed Air so much that I don't want to go on and find out that it was the one time that Astronoid got it right. So hopefully it'll work out for you guys on this one, because I'm rooting for Astronoid to have a long career and find new ways to play with the concept of Dream-Thrash and how they put it all together. So fingers crossed, guys. I'm hoping that works out. But that's all I got for everybody today. I appreciate you hanging out again. And by the way, look, if you watch my videos and you're interested in seeing them on a regular basis, go ahead and subscribe if you get a chance. I can't guarantee you'll get notifications or not, but you won't get any if you don't give it a shot. So check it out. If you want to discuss Astronoid or anything else with me, please do. I look forward to talking to you, and I'll see you on the flip side.